I mean, we make films for under $20 million. If anybody gives you $20 million, they're going to want to say what they'd like you to do with it. And you've got to accept that, you know. So the technique that you try to do is that when they suggest something like a bit of casting, and you go, wow, I never thought of that, that's great. That's really interesting, okay? And then later, the trick is, the person that you really want to cast, you make it seem like they've suggested that person as well. And so that you feel like you're casting the person they want to cast. That's the technique, if you can do it, if you can get away with it. You know,
I hope they're not watching that. Would you have considered, was the beach a turning point in your career in terms of the scale of the film and the level that you had to deal with the studio?
Yeah, the beach was a $50 million film, which isn't a lot of money in terms of studios, but in terms of us, it was 2-3 times what we'd ever worked with. And it does come with its own sets of problems. It slows everything down, that's the first thing. The sheer amount of money. It's also, I come from a kind of very Catholic background, and so I'm very responsible about money. I don't like wasting money. And I'm very nervous about wasting money. You know, I think it's wrong that huge amounts of money get thrown around. So it suddenly makes you're very self-conscious about what you're doing. And Leo, who's a great friend and an actor, a lovely guy, he was hugely helpful to it. But, you know, the studio wanted it to be Titanic 2. You know, that's, you know, because obviously Titanic was a huge hit. And he'd just come off the back of that. And this whole beach thing with Thailand was interesting, but it'd be much better if it was Titanic 2. So they wanted it to be a love story and things like that. And of course and I felt very awkward making the film, and it's not my best work. I don't think it is. I mean, I think the film's very enjoyable, but it's not my best work. I'm not, I'd be quite open about admitting that. And it's certainly my fault, because unlike, say, Guillermo del Toro or Christopher Nolan, who can work clearly very comfortably in big budgets, I'm not the right guy for that, and I've learned that about myself. So after The Beach, we did these much smaller films, a couple of television films actually, with very small cameras, with this emerging digital technology, and that allowed us to make 28 Days Later, which we made with semi-domestic cameras, which became, you know, was a big hit, and spawned a television series in America now, and a World War Z, and all these films are a bit like it. But we don't have any money, and we don't get any money from World War Z or The Walking Dead, or whatever it's called, that TV show. If only we'd had shares in that. But actually, George Romero is the guy who should get money from all those people anyway, because he's the guy who pioneered it. We just made them run fast, you know.